Everybody, and good morning. Happy April 26th. We are here for our week number 7. Good morning. Happy April 26th. Repeat of myself. I can hear myself talking on my phone. So we're here for our week number 7 live stream for my intro psych class. We are very, very close to the end of our class at this point. We are in weeks number 7 and 8. Thank you so much for those of you who are joining me here this morning. Can you all hear me and see me okay? Everything seems to be just fine on my end, but just to double check that everything is good for you. If someone could let me know in the chat, that would be amazing. And then we'll get started. Yeah, we're actually going to talk about the closing assignment next week. I'll show you a little bit of it today, and then that will be our focus along with the final next week. But I'll definitely point out a few things in case you wanted to get started on it early. But can you all hear me and see me okay? Can someone let me know in the chat? I'll just assume that you can, but I just want to make sure everything's coming through okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over to Canvas together. Just again, if you're looking at our course, we're right here. We're in weeks number 7 and 8. So weeks 5 and 6 are done. And I did send out an email with a bunch of feedback about your discussions and exams and so on. Honestly, it seems like most of you have very much settled in. You know what I'm expecting. You know what to do. You're doing a wonderful job. And again, we just have these last 2 weeks and then we're done. So I'm going to put this in the chat here. Our class officially ends on Friday, May 5th at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so I know that's a little bit different than normal. Normally we are Sundays for the end of our week, but notice that next week does end on Friday, and that is something that the school set, not me, so I'm sorry for the confusion. I will remind you a million times, but inevitably at least one of you will miss it. I will feel so bad for you, but please keep in mind that the class does officially end and everything closes on Friday next week on the 5th. At 11:59 p.m. So just a couple of quick comments about weeks 5 and 6, and then we will look at this week and what we have going on. So for our week 5, we were looking at emotions and motivation. Really nicely done on discussion number 9, where you were looking at fad diets. I really enjoyed reading all of the different fad diets that you have heard of, or some of you have tried, and then how you think those are impacted by the media and so on. Really nicely done. Biggest reason people lost points was just not quite elaborating enough or not responding to a classmate. That one was kind of an easier discussion a little bit. The one on emotion, discussion 10, was a little bit harder, and some of you did struggle just a little bit with this one. So what you were supposed to do again is kind of come up with an emotion that you experienced and something that happened, and then talk about the chain of events from each theory. And there was a little bit of difficulty with this one. So the James Lang theory, remember that you have a physical response which causes an emotion, right? So your palms are sweating, your heart is racing, which leads to an emotion. The Cannon-Bard theory was that the physical response and emotion happen at the exact same time. And then the Schachter-Singer or two-factor theory was that you have a physiological response, which you then label, and then you experience the emotion, right? So a lot of you got that perfectly. Some of you struggled a little bit with like that chain of events. I enjoyed reading your ways to spot a lie. And as I sent it out to you, I have crocheted a blanket. Most of you thought that I have never crocheted a blanket. It was very romantic of me, I must say. It took me like 6 months to do. And I crocheted an entire blanket for my partner. We still have it. We never use it, but it took me forever. And I do have 2 brothers. But I have never been to Africa. So that was the lie. I did spend a lot of time practicing that. So I fooled a lot of you. So I guess good for me. If I want to lie, I have to make sure I rehearse it incredibly. But I enjoyed so many of you watching the video and making your guesses. So nicely done on that. But I did crochet a blanket. You wouldn't guess it by looking at me, but I do know how to crochet and I know how to quilt. little random facts for you there today. There were two other discussions last week, just to look at those really quickly. Discussion 11, I enjoyed your reactions to the songs about being a teenager. A lot of you uploaded images of greeting cards, and that was a lot of fun, so thank you for doing that. I think we all enjoyed looking at them. Some of you even uploaded videos, which was really cool as well. Biggest reason people lost points here was not being specific enough with the songs. I was really looking for you to take some lyrics from the songs and connect them to some of the concepts from that chapter. And there were some of you who just were kind of broad, and I was looking for a little more specific, or you didn't quite get into the messages and tones of the cards, again, kind of general rather than specific. So don't forget to always really elaborate, answer the questions fully. As a side note as well, the vast majority of you wanted to be stuck somewhere between the ages of 21 and 26. There were not very many of you who chose a number beyond 26, and there were not very many of you who chose a number before 21. And honestly, that's what I see the most of the time. A lot of people tend to want to be in the 20s. And so there were a few of you who chose a number in the 30s, saying you'd be done with school, you'd have a career and a family. 40 is the new 30. Well, that's good because I'm 41, so I could use that being the new 30. But there weren't very many of you who chose a number that was over 26. So interesting to see if somebody asks you this years from now. Maybe it changes, but it's kind of an interesting thing. I think if I had to pick a number as a side note, I would have picked in my 20s years ago, but I think at this point I might pick like 38. Right? So I'm still in my 30s, maybe 36, I don't know, somewhere in there. But I always think about the age of my children. They're kind of at like a fun age right now at 8 and 10. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe like 38 might be my number. I'm 41 now. So just a couple of years ago, I think. Nothing hurt as much in my 30s. So anyway, for the most part, really nicely done. I enjoyed all of your reactions and again, seeing some of the images from the cards that some of you uploaded. Thank you again for that. And then finally, discussion 12. This was a fun one, and I hope you enjoyed the opportunity to describe yourself in 5 words. I think the funny part for this one was looking at your reactions to other people's descriptions of yourself. A lot of you, there were similarities, but some of you were like, I would never choose that word, but my partner chose this, or my parent chose this. So really interesting to compare how you described yourself to how other people did. The biggest reason here that people lost points was not giving me enough on number 4. I was looking for you to describe your test and your reactions and results. Some of you just kind of said, oh, I took this test and didn't really give me a lot. That was the number one reason that people lost points. But overall, most of you got really great scores, a lot of like 13, 14, 15 points on these. Don't forget to always reply to a classmate. Some of you are still kind of not doing that. But for the most part, really great job. Same thing with exam number 3. A lot of you did beautifully. Continue to use these things as a learning experience. We enter into our last 2 weeks as of Monday. So what we're looking at this week is chapter 13 on stress and health and chapter 14 on disorders. And I know this is a very stressful time of the semester. A lot of people seem and look stressed out, so hang in there. We are almost done, which I know is probably part of the stress. But what you'll look at this week is the topic of stress and health and disorders. So make sure that you read chapters 13 and 14 in the ebook, as always. Make sure you go through my lectures and then also the lecture videos and take notes and pay attention. All that stuff is going to appear on the exam. And then you do have 2 discussions this week. So let's take a look at those together while we are here together. So for discussion 13 on stress and health, we are focusing on something called self-care. Self-care is an interesting idea. Taking care of yourself. This can be something small, it can be big, it can be something simple, or it can be something elaborate. And I want to let you know that I am writing a book on self-care, and so I am hoping to use some of your submissions. So I might be reaching out to some of you to see if I can use your photos that you upload, but I am excited to see what you come up with for self-care. So what you're going to be doing is reading this short article right here. Yeah, spa day is a great example. I went and got myself like a special lunch last week, and that was my way of doing something nice for myself and taking care of myself. It can be literally anything. So you'll read this short article about self-care, and then you're going to take and share, upload 5 pictures of you engaging in some self-care activities. These need to be your own images, so they should be something original. So use your phone or a camera of any kind. Try to have these images be thoughtful, creative, and well composed. On top of that, you don't need to be in the picture. I'd actually prefer if you weren't in the picture. It would be great if you're not. The images that you share can be of your activity or any element of it. Be creative, have fun with it, don't overthink it. This can literally be anything. So I have a lot of people who took pictures of going on a walk, right? And so maybe they took a picture of the path that they were on or something that they walked by. A lot of people took their pets, their dogs on a walk and took a picture of their dog. So anything that you do for self-care. All right. And if you need some ideas, you'll get some in the article. But be creative with this. Have fun with it. You're going to upload some pictures, like, and some of you have already done this, which is fantastic. And I look forward to seeing what you come up with. For each picture, you're going to write a very short description. What are you doing and how does it promote self-care? Right? How did you feel during and after? Just a couple of sentences kind of describing what you did and how you felt for it. And that's it. So I'm pushing you to do some self-care this week as we near the end of the semester, and I know stress levels are high. So I hope this one's kind of fun. It's a little bit different. A short article and then uploading 5 images of self-care activities. For the next one, for discussion number 14, let's take a look at that one. This one is related to psychological disorders. So as always, watch my video. Here's a little article that I want you to read. Now, we are learning about the predominant theory and method, which is that we have a DSM. It describes mental illness. We can diagnose people with it. I wanted you to have exposure to a very, very different idea. And so that's what I have for you in this article. There was a book written by a man named Thomas Szasz. And this is an old book, 1960, but it's still used and referenced a lot today. And so what I have for you here is an excerpt from that book, or you can listen to me reading it to you if you would rather. But you're going to read through this and then answer a couple of questions about it. I want you to summarize his main ideas, and then what are some of the reasons that he presents as support for his claims of calling mental illness a myth? Number 2, do you believe, or do you agree with Szasz's ideas about mental illness being a myth? Why or why not? And you can feel however you want about this. You can agree, you can disagree, you can have a mixed opinion. That's totally fine. I'm just curious your thoughts. And then number 3, do you think that diagnoses stigmatize people? In what way does a diagnosis help someone and also maybe even hinder them, right? And so when you're ready, you'll hit reply and you'll answer those questions. So again, just to kind of give you a very different perspective, we're covering the mainstream perspective in the book and in the lecture, but through the discussion, you'll get a chance to kind of think about it critically and explore a different idea. I will, of course, give you the extra credit in a few minutes, but if you look to next week, which somebody asked about, next week we're looking at therapies and social psych, discussions 15 and 16, our final exam, and a closing assignment. So I'm going to talk about the closing assignment next week, but just to give you a little preview in case you wanted to work ahead. For the closing assignment, I've given you the instructions. Here's a list of all the different concepts that you could cover. And then here's a sample in case you'd like to see how other people did it. Basically, for this one, what you will be doing is you're going to pick 5 different concepts that we've covered over the course of the semester. And then you're going to write about those concepts and how you could connect them to your life. I gave you some instructions about formatting and I gave you the rubric, but you're going to pick a specific term or concept that we've gone over. You'll define it. And then the bulk of your paper is going to be talking about how you can use that to make sense out of something in the past or apply it for something you're doing now. So let's say that you choose to cover positive reinforcement. You would write positive reinforcement, you give me a definition, And then maybe you say application, now that I know what positive reinforcement is and that it is going to increase my likelihood of doing a behavior, I plan to try and reward myself and use positive reinforcement when I get my homework done on time. I will allow myself to have a piece of candy or do something special in hopes that it encourages that behavior more in the future. And so if you're on the previous page, I did give you, as I said, an example of what that might look like. You're following a very specific format of term, definition, application, term, definition, application, and you're doing that 5 times. So I'll spend a little bit more time talking about that next week, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little preview in case you were thinking of working ahead. Remember that everything for these 2 weeks is due by next Friday, the 5th at 11:59 p.m., but we're focusing on week 7 this week because we are in week number 7. And if you have any questions for me, this would be a great time to put them in the chat. I have a couple of quick reminders, and then I will give you the extra credit question. The first reminder, again, almost every single one of you has fallen off your subscription status. So if you could take a moment to check and renew that, I would really appreciate it. We still have this week and next week. And if you're watching this later, make sure you've done that so that you can get credit for watching it. The other thing to remind you of is we will have another live stream next week. It will be our very last one. So let's see, I'm going to put this in the chat here. Our next live stream will be on Wednesday, May 3rd at 11:30 a.m. All right, so that will be our very last Twitch live stream. It'll be next Wednesday morning. And on Wednesday, what I will do is I will cover all the materials from chapter 8. So I'll talk about 15 and 16, those discussions, the exam, the closing assignment, and then, of course, the little class survey. And we'll kind of wrap everything up. So I hope you're able to make it. That will be our very last live stream that we have and last opportunity to get those extra credit points. Let me give you the extra credit question for this week. And then I will hang out for a little bit if any of you do have any questions for me. But here is our week. Let me put this in the chat. Week number 7 Twitch extra credit question. Kind of an easy one a little bit, I think. What does DSM stand for, and what edition are we currently in? So what does DSM stand for, and what edition are we currently in? And when you're ready to answer that, you'll head back to Canvas. And since we are in week 7, you'll click on optional extra credit number 7. And then up here at the top, click on start assignment. And then you can type your response in the text box down here. Go ahead and hit submit, get your confetti burst and presents. It's worth 2 points. You have all the way till Friday, May 5th at 11:59 p.m. to answer that. And again, a lot of you have been doing these. I think that's fantastic. It gets you those 2 points every week, which definitely adds up to a missed discussion or maybe a poor exam score. So I'm glad so many of you are taking advantage of it. And thank you again so much to those of you who are here with me live. I really appreciate it and enjoy your company. And if you're watching this later, I appreciate that too. I'm happy to keep doing it as long as it is helpful. So kind of short and sweet, about 20 minutes. And again, next week, we'll talk about all the closing stuff a little bit more and kind of go over the final and all that we have going on next week. But get going on the materials for week 7. If you have any questions, I will hang out for the next few minutes here and you can put them in the chat and I would be happy to answer them. I'm looking forward to enjoying all of your self-care activities that you do this week. I hope you come up with some fun stuff and I hope it really helps you to relax and calm down and get through this week. So take care of yourselves. And again, I will hang out for a little while if you do have any questions. I am going to minimize my video just so I'm not staring at myself, but I will be here if you have any questions. Otherwise, we are officially done for today, and you can go ahead and go and get started. I will see you all next week for our very last Twitch live stream. Okay, I'm going to close this up, but I will hang out for a few more minutes if you do have anything that you would like to ask. Thank you so much again for those of you who joined me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you too, Amanda the Gamer. Amanda the Gamer 5. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Of course, thank you as well, right? I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful week. It's going to get hot. It looks like it's going to be up to like 90 this weekend. So stay cool. My twins, it's their birthday on Monday. I can't wait. I get two cakes. Two of them, so two cakes. I'm going to do it right. Okay, so I have it up here. I can see if I can put it back in the chat one more time for you. So here's the week number 7 extra credit question. So it was what does DSM stand for and what edition are we currently in? If you finish everything, yeah, I won't be grading everything until the class officially ends. I do try to grade the closing assignments as they are coming in. I try to kind of keep ahead of that. But the exam and the final discussions won't be graded until the class ends on the 5th. So those things, unfortunately, you'll have to wait a little bit in order to get those grades. No worries, you're welcome. But I will grade, as I said, those closing assignments as they're submitted. So feel free to do that one early if you would like to.